I'm going to teach you how to make a fabulous piece of rice paper for collage this week. The color goes all the way through, so when you tear it, there's no white edges. I'm Elizabeth St. Hilaire. Welcome to my studio. Welcome to Tutorial Tidbits. This week I'm going to show you how to do a metallic paint resist with the gel plate and a stencil, and how to bleed color all the way through the paper so that you have no white edges and you have a rich, beautiful sheet of collage paper. Okay, so I'm working in my garage studio today, and it's kind of warm here, so if you can hear the fan going in the background, you'll just have to bear with me. I love my big table that I have out here, and it's completely covered with my nonstick craft sheet, and the table is about 6 by 4 feet. And this is sold by the foot, so it's fabulous for covering a huge surface. And when I'm making a mess, I like working out here rather than in my studio on my work table. Anyway, I have myself a sheet of 12 by 16 palette paper. Because I could make this mess on this desktop surface and it wouldn't stick, but it would cause me to have to abandon the desktop for the rest of the day while it dried. Whereas when I have this paper all wet on my palette sheet, I can move it off the surface and put it on the floor somewhere. So I do like working on these palette sheets when I'm making wet, watery papers. So I'm going to be using one of my Dorothy series polka dot stencils. There are several different patterns of polka dot stencils in my Dorothy series. I'm going to give you a link to that below. I have a lot that are organic, where the circles are different sizes and they kind of move around in a random manner. This one is a little bit more uniform, but I'm going to show you how to make it organic. So if you have a stencil like this, I'm going to show you how to make it organic. Or if you're in the mood to buy some new polka dot stencils, check out my link below to the Dorothy collection. Okay, so then I've also got a 9 by 12 pad of Yasutomo Sketch rice paper. This is my favorite paper for collage because it's highly absorbent and it glues down perfectly flat. And it also absorbs the color all the way through itself because it's highly absorbent. And when that happens, that means when I tear it, it has no white edges because the color will absorb all the way through this paper. So let's grab a sheet of that. And the stencil is 9 by 12 and the paper is 9 by 12. And I'm going to start out by using my 9 by 12 gel plate. Co-branded with Joggles, which I'm super happy about because previously I was using an 8 by 10 or a 9 by 11, and now I'm really happy to have the size of a gel plate that is exactly the same size as the stencil and the paper. All right, so I'm using iridescent copper fluid acrylic by Golden, and I am going to create a polka dot pattern in a random manner on my sheet of rice paper. Now with this rice paper, there's a smooth side and a rough side. I print on the smooth side because it makes a better print, because the smooth side makes better connection with the gel plate. There's nothing wrong with printing on the other side. It's just that this smooth side really connects with the gel plate and gives you a sharp stencil impression. And you can tell by feeling it which side is smooth and which side is rough. It's very obvious. All right, so I'm going to put out the copper paint, and I'm using my 6-inch brayer, and it looks like my gel plate has a couple of dents in it, which is the hazard when you travel with your gel plate in luggage, as I do for teaching workshops. So if you're not familiar, I teach workshops across the country and internationally. And I have just recently released my list of international workshops for 2026. All right, so how I'm going to make this look random is that I'm going to press with the heel of the palm of my hand like that. And then I'm going to move the paper. And then I'm going to move it again. And I'm going to keep moving it around, and I'm going to try to overlap some of these dots, and I want to make sure that I get it before it dries because it's warm out here. And I may have to do it twice. So you can see that I'm creating a random pattern with an actually very random, very uniform stencil. So I'm going to add some more paint to that. And put the stencil back down. And again, I'm going to try to get it out to the edges and let it overlap the previous pattern. And I keep changing the angle of the paper. And you can do this with any stencil that you want to sort of switch up the design. And you can see that I'm still getting polka dots, but they're definitely more organic and less uniform than the stencil itself. So I want to make sure I get good coverage over this whole sheet. So I'm making sure that I get out to the corners, and I'm looking for paint that is still in the openings of the stencil. And looks like we got a little, could get a little more there. Okay, that's pretty good for a nice random set of dots. Now, just so that I don't waste paint, I'm going to pull another sheet and see what I can pick up from this ghost print, just to save it for another layer. All right, so now I'm going to, oh, look at that. That's interesting. It left the dots. Wow. Okay. So I'm going to print that over this. And that's basically a ghost print. It's too dry, but I'll be able to pick it up with another layer of paint. So that's kind of fun, something I can do after the fact. All right, so I have my random dots in copper. Now I'm gonna add some nice dark Payne's Gray fluid acrylic. I'm gonna add water to the fluid acrylic to get it really watery. If you have high flow paints, they're even thinner viscosity than the fluid acrylic, and so you probably don't have to add as much water. But I'm just gonna add water and really make like an acrylic ink type of consistency that I'm gonna brush over these dots. And you'll see that the metallic is resisting the liquid paint. So those dots are gonna come right through. And with all this water in the paint, you can see that the paint is coming right through the paper. So I wanna make sure that I get that happening everywhere. So I'm going to add a little bit more water. And I don't want to add too much water because then my nice dark isn't quite so dark. So we'll add some more pigment back in there. And I'm leaving some open spaces because I'm going to put a second color in here. I went kind of heavy on this end, but I want to get a second color in here. So I'm going to put out some magenta so I can make a bit of purple. So I'm adding more water, and I'm going to put that in here as well. And I love this play of the Payne's Gray and the quinacridone magenta together. In the spaces that I left, you can see it's much more vibrant pink, but I can certainly lay it over the blue to create the Payne's Gray, to create purple in some areas. So now you can see that we've got a paper that is colored all the way through. So when I rip this, I'm not going to have any white edges. And I've got the beautiful resist from the copper on the rice paper. Now you could also do this with gold or silver metallic. You could experiment with other colors, but I really like the way the metallic shows through and gives a bit of shimmer. And you can experiment with different stencil patterns. So I hope that you found this inspiring and that you'll make yourself some polka dotted, beautiful, rich collage papers that will tear without white edges. And you want to let this dry completely on this sheet of palette paper. If you don't have palette paper, you could put a plastic bag over a piece of cardboard or something that is non-stick so that when this dries, it'll peel right off the palette paper. It would also do the same on the surface of the desk, but at least with the palette paper, I can move this and set it aside and still use my workspace today. Thank you so much for being here with me this week. I hope you're inspired and found the tip and tidbit helpful, and I'll see you right back here next Friday.